Are you all ready for another tutorial? Okay, it's super cute. The coolest thing about this pincushion pattern is not only that it has these cool pockets all the way around, but it is fat quarter friendly. It takes 3 fat quarters to make. And yes, I'm using the new Courtney line from the Quilted Cow. Step 1 is to cut out your strips of fabric based on the pattern. I love using this Quilter Select ruler. I had never used a small ruler before like this, and now it is like my total favorite thing to use. I use it on the Quilter Select board that's small and fits on the side of my new Arrow sewing cabinet. You won't see this in the video because I totally missed recording a step. However, once you get your blocks cut out for the pockets, you're going to fold them in half lengthwise so they'll look long and skinny. You'll have this yellow fabric, and then the white fabric that you'll see is the smaller pocket. Next, you're going to create pleats. So fold the side in 1.5 inches, then fold it back on itself another 1/2 inch. So you'll have about an inch piece of fabric on the end that looks like this. This will create the side pleat. Once you get the pleats created, you're going to lay out your pockets and your inner fabric for the pincushion. There will be 6 blocks. Lay them out like a T and lay the pocket fabrics on top of them like you see in this picture. Then we're going to start sewing them together. Line the edge of the pocket up and lay the other piece on top of it. Now in the instructions, you're going to start sewing 1/2 inch from the end on each side and stop 1/2 inch from the top. I just sewed all the way through, and then I used my seam ripper to come back and open it up for when I needed to sew everything together. But line it all up just like this and see how you're going to end up with your pockets. Make sure you don't sew that pleat into this initial sew. Pin it because it's hard to keep it together. Sew them all together just like this. Now I didn't backstitch, not that I normally backstitch, but I really didn't backstitch this time because I knew I was going to have a 1/2 inch from the top and the bottom for when I sew this whole thing together into a square. I did make sure all my pockets were lined up in there and not the pleat. Rinse, wash, repeat as you connect all 4 of the center line of those blocks that have the pockets on them. You're going to have all the sides sewed together, but not the bottoms, so it will look like the pockets don't have a base. This is where it gets a little tricky. You're now going to sew the interior top and bottom to your project. Start with the top. You need to take this one square that will be the top of your pincushion. This is where you seam rip the sides down about 1/2 inch. Then you're going to put this block on, matching up the corners because you're going to sew it together onto this block so that it'll close at the top. Okay, so we have 1 block sewn on, but remember we have that little 1/2 inch from each end. So you're going to fold it in like this, match the next corners to that center block with the one that has the pockets, and you really are going to want to pin it this time because you got to hold those pockets together while you get ready to sew. Once you do the first one, it will make more sense and become easier as you go along. Notice here, after I pin the one side, I go in and I use a seam ripper to open up the other corner. You will end up with these little holes in the corners where everything comes together. So lay it together, and then you're going to stitch that corner closed so you grab all the pieces in it. It does take a little practice. It might look a little wonky at first, but you'll get it. Yay, you've made it this far. Flip it inside out like you see, and we're going to connect corner to corner on the base and do the same process that we did on the top. You may have to seam rip to open up that 1/2 inch connection point. Make sure you're folding in and getting the pocket fully straight on the bottom because you're closing the bottom of the pocket as we do this process. Okay, now we're going to sew corner to corner. Grab all those corners together just like this, put it under your sewing machine foot, and stitch away. Make sure to back stitch a little bit on this because you want to close up those corners. Rinse, wash, repeat along all 4 sides, leaving yourself a pull-through hole. I will tell you, make sure that pull-through hole is 3 or 4 inches. It's almost going to be the entire side of the block. You're going to have to hand stitch it closed though. Made the seam rip. I made the hole a little small, but I backstitched each time. So that's difficult. Oh. Yes! Okay, walnuts, crushed walnuts. just like you frost a cake. This may or may not work, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna put the camera down here where you can see it. If it doesn't work, this is gonna be a mess. Oh, might work. Oh. Okay, I need a few more walnut shells. It's like when I try to bake bread and you're like, at the end of it, you're like, there it went. Oh, I'm taking what I had, because I could have done this a couple of different ways, but I had some leftover batting from a project, and I'm just stuffing the bottom with pieces of batting that I'm cutting down. Okay, super cute. I used batting in the bottom because I didn't have enough walnuts. I am going to have to sew this closed by hand. It's so full and now it's so cute. It's going to have that.